This is a show called Flashpoint. It's a show created by Kenneth Copeland. It's on his Victory Network, his TV channel. It's hosted by a guy named Gene Bailey, this dude on screen here. And it is the pro-Trumpiest of pro-Trump TV shows. It doesn't get more pro-Trump than this. This is Donald Trump's wishes distilled, if you will. So anyway, they are talking about the fact that Trump might be indicted again sometime in the near future. The title is Free Speech Rising and Vivek Ramaswamy. So I want to give this a listen, see what they have to say here. Oh boy, did they lose it when Trump was first indicted the first two times. And yeah, I can't imagine they're going to like it. If it happens again, they're going to just lose it. So anyway, I want to give this a listen, see what they had to say about it. And while we listen, we're going to play some Breath of the Wild 2. I'm just going around getting Koroks. I will not put any spoilers in, so you don't have to worry about that. All right, let's give this a listen, see what they have to say here.
Patriot Academy founder and fellow Texan Rick Green. Welcome, gentlemen. Rick, glad to see somebody's out there working while Hank took a vacation.
Yeah, so if you don't know Rick Green, he's just a nutcase, a right-wing nutcase, that's all. And he started this thing that's basically trying to teach people to be right-wing nutcases along with him.
Where are you tonight?
That's good.
Well, now we're in Indiana. So last week we did Patriot Academy's Leadership Congress in Delaware for our Northeast Academy. This week we are in the Midwest. So our Midwest Academy is in Indiana.
Okay, let me give you a little bit more information on what they're talking about. I'm just going to skip past what he's saying probably because it's irrelevant, but Patriot Academy has a whole learning set, basically, that teaches people how to infiltrate school boards and turn them into Christian nationalist institutions. And it also rewrites history to support the false notion that the United States was created with biblical or on biblical principles through biblical beliefs or by religious Christian nutcases or whatever. That's simply not true. But anyway, it was created on Enlightenment principles by famously Enlightenment thinkers like Thomas Jefferson, one of the most famous people for being from the Enlightenment. So anyway, yeah, they're just full of it. But let's skip a little bit forward so we can get into the main story here.
I don't know what you're waiting on. You need to be right here, Fort Worth, Texas, Sunday night, July.
Yeah, just shouting out their stuff. Let me jump. Oh, God. So they're holding an event. They have Mike Lindell, Mark Burns, Dutch Sheets. Let's see. Looking for anybody good. Abby Johnson is nuts. I don't know Danny Goki. Interesting lineup. That'll be an interesting show. I'll probably end up watching that. All right, let's jump forward to where they start their stories here.
All right, so tonight we're going to jump right into the topic of the day. Today, former President Donald Trump revealed that he received a letter from Special Counsel Jack Smith stating he is now the target of a Justice Department investigation into the January 6th protests.
Okay, so I don't fully understand how this works, but I think that what's happening right now is they were doing an investigation into whether or not they should press charges. I mean, wasn't he being investigated this entire time? I think he was, right? I don't know. Trump just likes being in the news 24/7, so there's no real guarantee that this is even true, that Donald Trump got this letter. Could be completely made up. In fact, I wouldn't put it past Trump at all to just made this up completely.
He said this, quote, deranged Jack Smith, prosecutor with Joe Biden's DOJ, sent a letter stating that I am the target of the January 6th grand jury investigation and given me a very short 4 days to report to the grand jury, which almost always means an arrest and indictment.
Okay, that's interesting. Again, don't trust a word out of these people's mouths, certainly, and obviously not out of Trump's mouth. Neither of these people or groups or whatever you would call them are trustworthy to any degree at all. They are both famously liars, Donald Trump and Flashpoint. So anyway, yeah, just don't trust a word that they say.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy was quick to defend Trump and criticize yet another political move by the Biden administration. Watch.
Yes, under a Biden administration, Biden America, you'd expect this. If you notice recently, President Trump went up in the polls and was actually surpassing President Biden for re-election. So what do they do now? Weaponize government to go after their number one opponent. It's time and time again. I think the American public is tired of this.
I mean, this is just ridiculous, obviously. McCarthy is defending Donald Trump. I don't know why. Trump would throw him under the bus in a heartbeat. It's simply bizarre to me that he would defend him this way, especially after he realized, or after McCarthy was like attacked, wasn't he, on January 6th or whatever? Like, this dude's life was in danger on January 6th. I cannot believe that he's defending anybody for this.
They want to see equal justice, and the idea that they utilize this to go after those who politically disagree with them is wrong.
That's not what's happening. That's not what was ever happening. It's completely made up. Something that I've noticed is that if you don't like point out where all of the nonsense is, it's really easy to fall into it. So I have to point it out every single time. This is just completely fabricated. Why is this dude even doing this? Kevin McCarthy was in danger on January 6th. Why is he defending the guy that put him in danger intentionally? And then he yelled at Trump on a phone call famously on January 6th. Why is he defending him now?
It is wrong. Rick, it seems like the president has said a fourth indictment could also be coming down from Georgia. It seems like the plan to destroy his 2024 campaign is just by bombarding him with these nonstop attacks.
Well, that's a weird plan considering the fact that it's basically not affecting his poll numbers at all, or it's barely affecting his poll numbers. I don't know why, Democrats or anybody else would set out to destroy his campaign by doing something that doesn't destroy his campaign at all. And when they discovered that it doesn't destroy his campaign, they would continue doing that to supposedly destroy his campaign. It's just absurd, honestly. Think about the words coming out of your mouth right now. Like, they don't believe what they're saying, do they? They can't possibly. They must know that this is nonsense. They must. That they're just completely full of it. Donald Trump is constantly the victim of everything, isn't he? Always the one being taken advantage of by everybody else. It's everyone else's fault that things are going wrong for him. It's not his fault. It's everyone else's fault. Absurd.
From the DOJ and the state DAs, is there any relief in sight?
Oh, yeah, since they mentioned that, I did want to point one more thing out real quick. I find it fascinating, though, that they're bringing this up. So Jack Smith is bringing federal charges against Donald Trump right now. Now, does Donald Trump have the right to pardon himself if he becomes president? No. No, he does not. That's not outlined in the Constitution. But you can bet he would try it. But you know what is explicitly denounced in the Constitution? Explicitly described as something that you cannot do in the Constitution. The president is incapable of pardoning state charges. President cannot pardon state charges. So if Trump is charged with something in Georgia and then charged with something in New York, which he was charged with something in New York, a bunch of stuff, he cannot pardon himself out of that. It's a jurisdictional thing. You can't just get out of that situation. That's not how it works. So one way or another, Trump is going to be in bad shape.
Well, I think, as we've talked about here before, they don't get it. This is throwing Donald Trump into the briar patch. This does nothing but help him in the...
No, everyone gets that. Everyone realize. I mean, we can look at his poll numbers, understand that it's not hurting him. That's the thing that these people don't want their listeners to get. Honestly, I'm not convinced that even these people believe what they say. But they want their audience to believe it, right? You know what? I've never actually done this before. I've been told that I can shoot a hover stone out of an arrow. Let's give that a shot. These people must realize that, everybody is fully aware that this is helping Donald Trump at worst or doing nothing at all at best, right? I mean, they're just trying to convince their audience that Democrats are just too stupid and incompetent and inept to know what they're doing or to do anything correctly. One of the tenets of fascism, by the by, your enemy has to simultaneously be weak and strong. They're both too powerful to overpower yourself and too stupid and weak to run the government. That's been a tenet of fascism since the very beginning, pretty much.
Election because it rallies all of us with any sense
Right.
of justice and any sense of a desire for equal and blind justice to rally behind him and to support him. So it's actually going to grow his base, not
No, it's not going to grow his base. It did shrink his base a little bit. We can look at the polls. We can look at the approval ratings and everything. When Trump is indicted, it does hurt him a little. And then his support kind of bounces back a little bit because people forget that they're supposed to be upset over this and they move on with their lives. So I don't think it's having much of an effect. That being said, I don't think Trump has any chance of winning the election. No chance, in my opinion. That doesn't mean we should not care or we should take it easy or stop paying any attention. It just means I think we'll be okay.
shrink it. But Gene, you said something at the very top of the program that I just want to reiterate. Folks at home, share this.
Oh my God, dude, he's breaking up. This is more just shout outs for their own garbage.
Program. Most people in your life that's in your circles at church, in your family, they will not hear tonight or anytime throughout the rest of this week any kind of a defense of Donald Trump or the Constitution or anyone articulating why this is an abuse of justice almost anywhere else on any major media. All they're going to do is parrot what this, literally corrupt prosecutor and corrupt DOJ, what they are saying. And Gene, just everybody at home, think about it this way. If what Donald Trump did on January 6th is illegal or it could be prosecuted or is sedition, as they're saying, then anyone who shows up to testify against a bill in their legislature to delay that process, anyone who rallies, who protests, who shows up at the Capitol with a sign, who goes and talks to their legislator and asks them not to vote, any kind of political advocacy will become illegal.
Does he think that's what was happening on January 6th? It was simple, basic political advocacy? Does he believe that there was no violence that was intentionally inspired by Donald Trump? I mean, of course, that's what he believes. Yes, that is what he believes. It's just a ridiculous thing to say. Now, he's trying to, equivocate January 6th with something that was pretty normal. It was just, people showing up to the Capitol to express their grievances as, American citizens. That's not what happened. People died. Trump supporters killed people there. So there is absolutely no excuse for what happened on January 6th. And Donald Trump knew that this was happening and was preparing for it, was hoping for it, and was making it worse, was inspiring this extreme nutcasery that took place, this extreme action that took place. He inspired it intentionally. This isn't just simple political advocacy.
This is 1930s Germany stuff here.
Sure is.
This is shutting down the opposition.
Dude, they love comparing their situation to Hitler. It's like constant. And no, it's not shutting down opposition. This is by no stretch of the imagination the first or the only time that they have compared their quote-unquote plight to that of the Jews in Germany. It's embarrassing and painful and sad and makes me do these people know the history that they're referencing right now? Are they aware of what they're talking about? Or are these people just, oblivious? I cannot imagine these people don't know the history of the Jews in Germany, right? They must.
This is giving one political party the Hitler enabling acts that allowed him to silence everyone else.
No, it's not. No, there are actual acts and stuff that were put into place by Hitler to allow him to take action which silenced people that he didn't like and stuff like that. Nothing like that is happening right now, and it is truly an embarrassment that he would even imply such a thing. That he would even imply that the situation that they find themselves in is anywhere close to that of the Jews in Germany. That is painfully stupid. My God, dude, they have no shame, do they?
This is the epitome of third world country stuff. It's got to stop. Kevin McCarthy was right. And Gene, I just thank you, brother, for covering the topic and talking about it and letting people get educated on this that aren't going to hear it anywhere else.
Dude, I told you, these people, they have no bottom. They will say and or do anything to further their own goals and interests and beliefs and extremism, whatever it takes. These people are absolute nutcases. And if it means that they have to claim that they're like the Jews in Germany, that's what they'll do. In a heartbeat. Whatever it takes. Insane.
Yeah, it's true. And so,
no, it's not true at all.
Like Rick said, you need to share this because we want everyone to understand. Most of us are working. You don't follow the news of the day. And if you catch it at night, you kind of get it, and you may hear it on the internet, and you get some other version. Thank you for watching Flashpoint and staying in touch with us and Victory News, because that's the real truth. Pastor.
No, totally. That's the real truth, Victory News. The real truth. See, you have to follow us for the real truth. Get help, people. Seriously.
Frank, when you hear this about Trump, what does that say to you about his future?
Well, I think we've got to go back with what God has said and has been saying for.
Okay, now, I know I'm pausing a lot, but let me just clarify. What Hank just said, we have to go back to what God has said and is saying. What he actually means is what he has said and is saying, not what God has said. He claims to hear the voice of God. And he writes this stuff down like it's a new Bible book. I'm dead serious. He believes himself to be a prophet of God who is writing new books of the Bible today, right now. No joke. That's what he means when he says we need to look to what God said. We need to look to what Hank has said, is what he's saying, really.
Quite a long time, and that is that he has a redemptive plan, a good plan for the United States of America. He has a plan that he has revealed that he would raise up somebody out of New York City who would bring this nation back on course. And that,
again, the Bible doesn't say that. New York City didn't exist at the time. Hank Kunneman saw that what's his name? That Donald Trump was planning to run for president, hoping to run for president, and back in 2016, really liked what he was saying. So he, quote unquote, prophesied, claimed God told him this information about Donald Trump being some special messiah or whatever. Insane.
prophecy has been for 2 decades that God declared this. So I'm watching this. Now, here's what we have to understand. This is almost not only like what Rick said, it's an abuse of justice, but really it's becoming comical. And I just want to use a comical illustration. You remember back in the days of cartoons where the coyote would hide behind a skinny little tree like, oh, nobody's going to see him. And the problem is it's so obvious. And this is what we're seeing. What they're trying to do to President Trump is very, very obvious. But here's the thing, to answer your question, they're not.
Okay. God, dude, these people are nuts. God, I love listening to the nutter buttery on this stuff, right? Isn't it fascinating?
Going to get by with it. There was a day where they came to the house of Jesse, the prophet Samuel, and all of the...
Wait, they came to the house of Jesse, the prophet Samuel? What? I'm not sure what he's referring to here. Anybody else have any insight into this? They came... Who's they? Came to the house of Jesse, the prophet Samuel. Okay, go on.
The primary candidates marched out in front of the prophet and before the Lord. And not one of them did God choose. There was something very specific about David, and here's what it was. He was God's choice, and there was an anointing on David, and that anointing would absolutely position him for his rightful positional authority for the sake of the kingdom. And I say that because President Trump, there is an anointing on you for the purpose of this country.
Do you know? Okay, so you hear people like Hank Kunneman say that there's an anointing on Trump like all the time. It's pretty common, right? Well, I mean, it's common if you watch my channel, I guess. Do you know what the word Messiah actually means? Like what it translates to? It translates to anointed one. These people, no joke, really, honest to God, in the bottom of to the bottom of their hearts, they believe that Donald Trump is the new Messiah. Dead serious. They think he's the new Messiah. That's what they're talking about right now. They're calling him a Messiah. As Shane Vaughn puts it, Jesus was the Messiah of Israel. Donald Trump is the Messiah of America. God made a new covenant with America, he believes, when George Washington prayed in front of something or other. If that's even, I don't even think that's true, but that's the claim. And when he made that new covenant with America, it meant that there was going to be a new Messiah that would come along and take the role that Jesus was supposed to finish that he never finished as the Son of Man, which is, so basically it's like Jesus coming back pretty much, except he's not Jesus coming back. He's his own man, Donald Trump. Just listen to what the, pastor Shane Vaughn, Trump pastor Shane Vaughn said about Trump.
If you are anointed by Yahweh for a specific plan and purpose, you are a Messiah.
I mean, that's what the word means. Messiah means anointed one. So every time they call Donald Trump anointed, that's what they're saying. They're effectively calling him a Messiah. But there's a whole theology behind this, is what I'm trying to get at here. It's not just, they believe Trump to be special in God's eyes. No, it's beyond that.
Yeshua was the Messiah of mankind.
Yeshua is Jesus in Hebrew. That was his actual name.
But Donald Trump is the Messiah of America.
So anyways, that's what Hank Kunneman means when he calls Trump the anointed one. I'm not joking.
President Trump, there is an anointing on you for the purpose of this country, but also for the kingdom of God and our religious freedoms, that we can continue to share this great gospel and we can continue to have our constitutional rights and freedom.
He just called Donald Trump a Messiah. It was subtle. It was buried in religious or theological nonsense, but that's what he just did. He called him a Messiah.
That is ours in the United States of America. Lastly, Pastor Gene, here's what's going to happen with all of these indictments, and I've did this before on Flashpoint. See these feathers? These are all these indictments, and I said there would be more that would come, and since that time, there's been more. Like these feathers, they're all going to fall to the ground, and I'm telling you, all they're doing is helping the 81 million who voted for him in 2020.
81 million did not vote for Donald Trump in 2020. How many was it? I think Joe Biden got 81 million, didn't he? Let me see. Yeah, Biden got 81.2 million votes. Damn it. I'm just getting like conspiracy debunkers. Just tell me like what it was exactly. What was the count? Okay, Federal Election Commission. Official 2020 presidential general election results. Oh my God, dude. I just wanted to look at this. I'm going to switch this puppy over so you guys can see a little bit clearer. There we are. Okay. Puppy has been switched. So just looking here, we got 81,268,000 votes for Biden, looks like. Yep. Okay, here. Trump got 74 million. This is the official count. 74 million votes for Trump, 81 million for Biden. So these guys are just stealing what Biden got, basically.
The 81 million who voted for him in 2020, now that number is going to rise, and more people are going to get on board because they realize this is foolishness and it's injustice.
It is injustice in the very least, and much worse than that. Rick.
Dude, this is just painful. These people are as cringy as it gets. It is painful to watch this shit sometimes. It's nuts, dude. They just can't accept that their dude lost. Just accept it. Like I told you at the beginning, man, these people will do anything for Donald Trump. They are an extension of his mental state for all intents and purposes.
When you talked about this, throwing him in the briar patch, it really does apply here. You know, Trump, everybody needs to understand, Donald Trump and Mike Lindell are cut from the same cloth.
They are? Mike Lindell and Donald Trump? Cut from the same cloth, you say? Okay, go on.
Give him some PR or come after. I mean, he's going to somehow, it's going to flip and go to his benefit. And somehow he's going to come out shining. And
Shining. You think that Mike Lindell came out shining? Really? Is that so? Because I seem to remember Mike Lindell going on a mainstream network, like his first appearance on a mainstream network, the Jimmy Kimmel Show, not too long ago. You guys may not remember this. Let me show you if you don't remember. Let's see what kind of shining Mike Lindell did on the Jimmy Kimmel Show. Let me pull this up. Hang on. Yeah. Here it is. I found it. So Kimmel basically said, yes, Lindell, we will have you on our show to talk about your election BS if you want, but you have to do it looking like an idiot, basically. And I just love it, dude. You know what? Just watch. This is how it went. This is from all the way back in, when did this come out? Shoot, this was from February 1st, 2023. Okay, check this out.
Interview tonight, and joining us now from the corner of Donkey Kong and Q*bert, the My Pillow guy, Mike Lindell. Hello, Mike.
They put him in a claw machine, dude. I love it.
Jimmy Crumble, is that you?
It's me. Well,
God, he's so cringy, dude. Mike Lindell is one of the cringiest people alive. I swear to God, it's terrible. It's painful.
Mike, first question, Mike, is why do you think people don't take you seriously?
Well, I want to tell you this, Jimmy. Remember when we were kids and we questioned these carnival games, whether they were rigged or not?
Yeah, right.
But when we spoke up back then, we didn't get sued, did we?
No, that's right.
Well, that's because you didn't make direct, specific claims that you knew to be false back then. You speak up and you ask questions and point out issues and stuff in any election or whatever. That's fine. That's your right as like a voting citizen in the United States to speak up and ask questions. You're free to do that. But when you slander specific companies, you can bet your ass they're going to come after you. You're a fool if you don't think you're going to be sued for defamation for saying something knowingly false. You knew it was false and you said it anyways. And they can prove it now.
That's right. Hey, Mike, get rid of that kid. Will you give him a toy or something like that?
There you go. You got a winner. It's a rigged game. It's a rigged game.
Mike, I know that you're distrustful of machines. Now that you're inside.
This is just bad, dude. I know you're distrustful of games. Is that what he said?
Mike, I know that you're distrustful of machines. Now that you're inside one, do you feel differently?
Oh, you're distrustful of machines. That's funny. Anyway, so yeah, made a fool of himself. Now, what was it? I forget. Let's just listen to Flashpoint one more time. What was it Flashpoint said about Mike Lindell being cut from the same cloth as Donald Trump? One more time for me, guys.
You know, Trump, everybody needs to understand, Donald Trump and Mike Lindell are cut from the same cloth.
Cut from the same cloth. Okay, yeah. You know what? In retrospect, I can see that. After watching Mike Lindell, sit in that stupid claw machine on Jimmy Kimmel's show, make a fool of himself. Okay. Sure, yeah. I can see that.
Give him some PR or come after. I mean, he's going to somehow, it's going to flip and go to his benefit. And somehow he's going to come out shining. And
right, he's going to come out shining somehow. Give him some press, he'll come out shining. Yeah, absolutely. Mike Lindell, well known for coming out of press opportunities just shining.
None of this has had any effect on his popularity, Rick, or am I missing it? But it seems to grow.
No, it grows.
No, I don't think that Trump's popularity grew with the indictments. It actually shrank, but I think then it went back down, so it's basically the same as it was before, for the most part. So you can't really say that it grew exactly, but yeah, it hasn't really changed. That should be what you need to understand that Democrats are not doing this thing or whatever just to hurt Trump. This is not a ploy to get him to lose or whatever other nonsense. It's not hurting him. Want to encourage more calls like that, like the other day? Maybe call Commander Cat to ask what heaven. Okay, yes, to ask what heaven has in store for your transsexual son. That would be good. I love it. I love that idea. Although, I don't think Kat Kerr has a prayer line, to my knowledge. Does she have a way to contact her? Oh my God, that would be fantastic if I could call Kat Kerr, Commander Cat, and ask if she could send her angelic army to save my trans son. Oh, that'd be great. I would love that to death. Just got to find the opportunity. I don't know that she does a lot of appearances on the Elijah list, but I haven't seen her do her own thing. Maybe she does. I don't know. Snow Wolf. We should give your trans son a name. Oh, we should. We should give the trans son 2 names. Oh, and you know what would be even funnier? If I was correctly gendering my kid. So, my trans son is actually female to male. And then I'm calling him like by his correct name and everything, and then just see how they react to that. That'd be hilarious. I ask him to pray for my trans son, and then I turn out to be like the language that I use and everything is like super supportive of him. They wouldn't have any idea how to process that. That would be hilarious, right? We do need to come up with a name, 2 names. The name that my trans son was born with, the dead name, if you will, and my trans son's chosen name. That would be awesome. We should totally do that. Maybe we should do like a poll or something. Oh, you know what would be really funny? If my trans son loved me so much that he decided to pick Owen II because he cares so much. And then I tell, can you imagine Kat Kerr's reaction to that? Oh, God. I really with their heads, like really get in there. That would be fantastic, I think. We should build like a whole headcanon around this, around my trans son, that we can use every time we call these televangelist nutcases. That sounds awesome. Anyways, all right, let's keep listening to these nutter butters. On
his popularity, Rick, or am I missing it? But it seems to grow.
No, it grows, and I like how you said that, because it's kind of like, it's literally throwing a guy into a mud wrestling match that loves to mud wrestle, right? It's like throwing somebody into the octagon that loves mixed martial arts.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that's correct. Donald Trump is immune to here's the thing. Everybody knows Trump is a scumbag. They know it. They expect it from him. So it's not like, if we just like do this one more thing to show that he's a scumbag, then everybody will like all of his support will drop away. That's not what's happening here. Nobody expects his support to drop away when they find out he's a scumbag. We know he is. But these people are like convinced that that's the Democrats' plan. Or I suppose it's possible that they just want their audience to be convinced of that. I don't even know if these people believe what they're saying. Generally, though, by and large, I tend to believe that people are honest in the things that they say, unless given reason to think otherwise. So, like, people ask me, for example, do the governing body members of Jehovah's Witnesses believe the nonsense that they spread? Generally, I say, I think yes, they do. I believe they do. It's impossible to know for sure, but unless given evidence to think otherwise, I think it's a safe bet to assume that they do believe what they say, right? I think that these people are probably true believers, at least in most of the things that they say, at the very least. maybe they embellish a little bit, maybe they stretch the truth, and maybe they twist it around a little bit to make it out as though Donald Trump is more important than they really believe him to be, or maybe they make it out to be that Joe Biden is worse than they really think he is and stuff like that. But by and large, I think that they believe the things that they espouse, honestly. Everybody on this show.
And I think they know that, but I just think they just can't help themselves. They hate him so much. He did so much in his first 4 years to thwart the left, to stop the rise of Marxism in America, that they absolutely hate him. And Gina.
Wait. So Trump stopped Marxism in his first term? And people are angry about that. Well, I thought you said that the country's taken over by Marxism. So which is it? Did Donald Trump succeed in ending Marxism in the U.S., or is Marxism taking over right now? Which is it? It can't be both, right?
The rise of Marxism in America, that they absolutely hate him. And Gina, I just want to clarify something I said earlier, because people at home that maybe haven't followed this closely, they may think that I was saying that, breaking windows and going into the Capitol and hurting cops and pushing things over, that those people didn't do anything wrong and that's the same. That's not what I was.
Interesting. That is what he said, actually. Yes, as a matter of fact. So I don't know if this is part 1 or 2 or what. So just in case you missed it, let me kind of step back a little bit here and explain. Earlier, he was saying that Hitler used his influence or his position as chancellor or whatever the hell, basically to force people who wanted to protest what he was up to, force them to be quiet. And that's what's happening with January 6th. January 6th was just a bunch of peaceful people just chilling out, killing, doing the usual, nothing big. They were just showing up, protesting, using their American right, their God-given right, if you will. That's what he said earlier in this video that he's doing. Those are his words. He basically said, if the January 6th people are prosecuted, then that means that nobody will ever be allowed to protest again in the United States.
Anyone who shows up to testify against a bill in their legislature to delay that process, anyone who rallies, who protests, who shows up at the Capitol with a sign, who goes and talks to their legislator and asks them not to vote, any kind of political advocacy will become illegal.
And why? Well, I think it's obvious, because he believes that the January 6th people are just there protesting, right? But unfortunately for him, we have video of it. I don't know if you guys have seen this or not, but this is on January 6th, okay? Donald Trump actually, through Roger Stone and others, communicated with the Proud Boys. This is all well documented and understood and known. There is no question about any of this. This is not speculation. I'm not wondering if this is how it went or not. This is exactly how it went. Roger Stone met in a parking lot with the leaders of the Oath Keepers, Stuart Rhodes, and the Proud Boys and others. Enrique Tarrio, I believe, was the Proud Boys leader at the time. I'm not sure if he met with him or not in this parking garage. But anyway, the plan was for the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers and the other people to push into the Capitol until they reached the senators and the congressmen and everything. And Stuart Rhodes wasn't at the Capitol. You know where he was? Just outside the Capitol, with weapons caches placed all around to be able to hand to people, to be able to arm people. If they ran out of ammunition or whatever, he'd be able to arm. And he acted as a battlefield general, staying back from January 6th. This was a full-blown... this isn't a riot. Riot's the wrong word for January 6th. This is a full-blown insurrection attempt by the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys, and it was orchestrated by Donald Trump. So it's not like, a riot got out of hand and, just some people got hurt or something. No, they came with zip-tie handcuffs and weapons and gloves that they could use to push windows in.
This is our country! This is our File everybody inside!
They knew that this was going to happen. They knew that they were going to do this. The Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys that were there, they were in communication with each other. They had walkie-talkies that they were using to talk to each other, the whole 9 yards. Okay, this was not like a spur-of-the-moment thing, like, oh my God, people just got upset and charged. No. This was a full-blown insurrection attempt. They wore body armor. In fact, some of the congressmen who knew it was going to happen this day, they wore body armor that day too. In fact, one of the congressmen, I believe, don't quote me on this, this could be incorrect. You need to look this fact up yourself, but it was either Andy Biggs or it was Paul Gosar, one of the two, wore body armor to January 6th and unlocked one of the doors so that the Capitol rioters could get in. I keep saying rioter. That's incorrect. Capitol insurrectionists could get in. I'm not talking about the old lady wandering around. I'm talking about the insurrectionists who came with zip tie handcuffs and intended to get their hands on Nancy Pelosi and Mike Pence to kill them. That's who I'm talking about. The people that Donald Trump was explicitly working with through Roger Stone and others. So they come equipped with these gloves so that they can push in these glass windows because they knew some of the doors would be locked. And they succeeded in pushing in these glass windows with these gloves. Now watch what happens next. They walked around and unlocked one of the doors for everybody else. Now, there were some normal rioters who were just revved up into a blood frenzy there, too. I think the QAnon shaman was probably just revved into a blood frenzy. I don't think that he... I don't think he intended to actually... he wasn't involved in the insurrection attempt as far as I can tell. QAnon shaman, dude with the horns and everything, I suspect that dude was probably just a useful idiot that was there, helping the Proud Boys cover and create a cover story and convince everybody that it was just a riot that went awry. No, this is real. This was real. This is a full-blown insurrection attempt. I want everybody to fully understand what was happening here, okay? It's a QAnon shaman. So yes, there were some rioters that were bloodthirsty and, things got out of hand, but there were also provocateurs that were there who intentionally set out to act as field soldiers with a battlefield general that was right outside the city and weapons caches in the whole 9 yards. That's why Stuart Rhodes got, 20, 30 years in prison or something? Because he tried to run an insurrection against the U.S. government as a battlefield general at Donald Trump's behest, at his direction, at his instruction. So again, I'm talking about like Donald Trump's little, what would you call these people on Flashpoint? His little errand boys, these guys that'll say anything to protect him. They are insisting right now that Donald Trump is totally 100% innocent. January 6th is just a riot that got out of hand, or a peaceful protest that got out of hand. No, it was an insurrection attempt. You can pretend otherwise all you want. These people attempted an insurrection on the U.S. government and almost succeeded. At one point, they were within 20 feet of the people that they would have needed to grab to get, take hostages and cause real problems. They were within 20 feet of people, even less, honestly, of people who control the government. People who don't ride on the same airplanes as each other so that there can be continuity of government just in case. They almost, I'm talking the January 6th insurrectionists, Stuart Rhodes and others, they almost succeeded in destroying continuity of government in the U.S. I just want to make it super extra clear what we're talking about here and what happened. I don't want there to be any room for misunderstanding. This is a full-blown insurrection, okay? Now, earlier, if you missed this, I don't know, Rick Green said These are just peaceful protesters hanging out, you know? They were just at the Capitol doing whatever. And now these January 6th insurrectionists, the people that were caught attempting an insurrection on the U.S. government, unequivocally and without question, these guys are in jail and just being mistreated because they were put in jail. And it's just wrong. And you know what? If they're tried and, you know, if they're charged and sentenced and all that, there's going to be no peaceful protest in the U.S. ever again. No, peaceful protest was never the problem. The problem was full-blown insurrection. So, yeah, Rick Green here is just looking for any excuse he can come up with for the January 6th insurrectionists, not rioters, but insurrectionists, to actually be innocent when they're guilty as it gets. And he knows that. Can't convince me otherwise. He knows that. Here, let's step back a little bit after that little explanation. Let's listen again, see what he said here.
Hate him so much. He did so much in his first 4 years to thwart the left, to stop the rise of Marxism in America, that they absolutely hate him. And Gene, I just want to clarify something I said earlier, because people at home that maybe haven't followed this closely, they may think that I was saying that, you know, breaking windows and going into the Capitol and hurting cops and pushing things over, that those people didn't do anything wrong and that that's the same. That's not what I was saying.
It's fascinating to me that he felt the need to, like, set the record straight on that and even mention it. What that tells me, the fact that he felt the need to differentiate between insurrectionists, people who came in with zip-tie handcuffs and, you know, knew where the weapons caches were outside the city and stuff like that. The fact that he needed to differentiate between those people who were breaking in windows at the Capitol and just people who were useful idiots in the area, wandering around, you know, trying to get in because they were outraged. The fact that he felt the need to differentiate between the two groups is fascinating to me. It means that he knows, this right-winger, this right-wing nutcase here, knows he has not fully succeeded in winning this, this war of propaganda. Yeah, this propaganda war. He hasn't succeeded because January 6th is still viewed very negatively by even right-wingers. That's what, you know, this means to me. The fact that this dude felt the need to say it in the first place tells me he knows that he hasn't won the propaganda war yet. He's working on it. But, you know, it's been how many years, honestly? How many years ago? The January 6th, 2020, right? Or was it 2021? It's been a couple years, over a couple years. We're going on 3 years, and this guy is still trying to defend what he knows to be were insurrectionists. He still knows that there are people out there who don't like what happened on January 6th and think it was wrong. So that should tell you something. What it should tell you is that they have not fully won the propaganda war against January 6th, and they know they haven't. Fascinatingly. So he's lost the propaganda war. He hasn't completely won the propaganda war. He's fully aware of that fact.
Windows and going into the Capitol and hurting cops and pushing things over, that those people didn't do anything wrong and that that's the same. That's not what I was saying. What I was saying was the people that were peaceful that didn't do that, the people like Donald Trump that simply said,
oh, Donald Trump was just peaceful and he didn't do anything wrong that day. Okay. Interesting little route we're taking here. Rewriting history. All right, go on. I'm listening.
We want them to do the process, do the constitutional process, verify the electors, make sure you're counting the right electors. That's all he said for them to do. And let's not forget.
No, it's not all he said to do, actually. Donald Trump inspired an insurrection and controlled it largely from the sidelines through cutouts. Roger Stone was working with him and the Proud Boys and the other people. Oh my God, I'm trying to remember who his other people were. I mean, Paul Manafort was his campaign director for a while, and it was proven unequivocally and without question that Paul Manafort worked for Russia and is now in prison for being like a Russian spy, right? I don't remember exactly what happened to this dude. Trump is constantly surrounding himself with people who will communicate with, they'll be the cutouts for him. They'll take the fall for him. And these poor suckers, what did they get out of it? Nothing. I guess they live in infamy forever. That's what they get. People, they'll be written in history books as the poor suckers who took the fall for Donald Trump. Hope you're proud of yourself for that one.
Forget what he said very specifically. Be peaceful. Treat our men and women in uniform with respect. He said all the right things, not the wrong things. And so if they prosecute him and they claim that just asking...
Yeah, he's just trying to rewrite history. This is not how it went with Donald Trump. He specifically tweeted things in that moment that directed the troops that he had assembled to do certain things. He said Mike Pence has betrayed us and stuff like that. It's time to blah, blah, blah. I don't remember what his tweets were now. Donald Trump was directing it through Twitter. I can't believe that this dude even needs... I can't believe this dude's even trying to convince people of this. It's ridiculous, honestly.
Not the wrong things. And so if they prosecute him and they claim that just asking your legislators or your congressmen to do their job under the Constitution, that's sedition, that's what they're calling now. They're prosecuting a lot of these people that just walked through the Capitol and never broke anything. They were invited in by police officers, the nonviolent ones. They're saying that they were trying to stop a government proceeding. No, they weren't. They were asking their government officials to do the proceeding.
Okay, that's perfectly fine and dandy, but the Capitol building is not somewhere that you're allowed to just walk into. You can't just go in and do whatever you want. You have to get clearance. Do you have any idea how hard it is to get into the Capitol building? It's like getting into the White House, apparently. I didn't know this before. It's hard to get in there, for real. It's difficult to get into the Capitol building unless you have a reason to be there, because you're dealing with people who are directly connected to the continuity of government. And if these people die that are in the Capitol building, if some of them die, government in the United States may not be able to continue. This is real, what they did. Okay, I don't care if they were upset over election results or not. The United States is at its most vulnerable point in American history, or damn near it. Aside from the Civil War, it was its most vulnerable point in history, in my opinion. Thanks to the Capitol rioters, thanks to the extremists. And I'm not just talking about, okay, I keep saying Capitol rioters. I'm using that incorrectly. Thanks to the insurrectionists. And not just the insurrectionists, but thanks to the angry mob also. The grandmas and the grandpas and the others who were just upset over what happened, who were useful idiots for the insurrectionists. Thanks to them, too. The U.S. is at its most vulnerable point in American history outside of maybe the Civil War. Even when the Civil War took place, the Confederate flag never flew through the halls of Congress up until January 6, 2021. These people are scumbags and did untold amounts of damage to the U.S. government and deserve to be in prison for it, every single one of them. You know what they don't deserve? Talking the January 6th defendants, you know what they don't deserve? They don't deserve to make albums with Donald Trump. I don't know if you guys heard about this. They did an album where they sing the Star-Spangled Banner or some shit with Donald Trump on the album. He sang with them. They call themselves a J6 choir. They don't deserve to do that. They don't deserve to make money from any of that stuff. My guess is they probably didn't make any money. I'd be willing to bet anything Trump took it all. They don't deserve to be respected in any way, shape, or form. They nearly destroyed the U.S. government. They came damn close. And I'm not just talking insurrectionists. I'm talking those moron grandma and grandpas who fell for it. Those useful idiots that were used by the insurrectionists cynically. And Trump. And Roger Stone and all the other people that used them. I'm talking about them too. They should sit in jail too for putting us so close to a precipice where we were so vulnerable as a nation that all it would have taken is if a country had chosen, China, Russia, or whoever had chosen, they could have taken advantage of that moment of weakness in the U.S. The transition of power is taken extremely seriously and must be peaceful, because if it's not peaceful, it's our moment of vulnerability in the country. If it's not a peaceful transfer, we could very easily be, taken advantage of or put in danger by other countries who are looking for a weak spot, looking for an opportunity to take advantage. So I'm sorry, like even the grandmas who are wandering through the halls of Congress because they just thought it was neat, even they need to spend time in federal prison to learn a lesson here. You can't put the U.S. government in danger and expect nothing to happen. I'm sorry. That's not how this works. Now, I hope that's a lesson that Donald Trump has to learn too. Sadly, I'm not convinced that it is.
To actually follow the
Right.
12th Amendment. So anyway, that's what I meant by that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. We got our next guest here. He's been
God, these people are so painful. I guess they're moving on to another guest. It's just painful, man. These people are propagandists for Donald Trump, and it's embarrassing. It's like, are they even aware that he doesn't give a shit about them? Do they even know that? Or do they really think that Trump cares about them? One has to wonder. Let me know what you think in the comments.